AI is not a threat to my team because the value that I look for my team members to bring is not data entry.
Who the hell decided to overhire? The freaking leadership team decided to overhire.
Why would you not leverage that to absolutely crush and dominate and say, oh my gosh, we can now do 5x with
Right.
everything we have. Let's
Exactly.
accelerate. Let's do more. Let's hire more
Exactly.
people as opposed
Exactly.
to firing people.
Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
This past week, yet another massive layoff. Block, who I, had never heard of before, but they laid off 4,000 people. And that started a thought process in my brain about this isn't the first one. This won't be the last. And how do we as leaders support our teams when they understandably are looking over their shoulder, fearing some large cut like that, whether it be AI or mismanagement. The claim from Jack Dorsey was this was not a financial mismanagement thing, but you never know what goes under the cover. So it is an interesting time for our industry, and leading has been hard, and leading continues to be more challenging than ever. And so that's what today's episode is about. It's about how do we as leaders support our team and support even ourselves through these times.
A little bit more of the backstory, Josh, is I read a little bit of the post. So it was AI driven, AI optimization driven, and they realized that, so they didn't do 4,000 people. 6,000 were remaining. And the other thing they boasted a little bit was the packages. Everyone got a minimum of a 20-week severance. So the severance started at 20 weeks. Medical went for 6 months. They were eligible for profit sharing under certain conditions, etc. So they boasted a generous severance package for those folks. So they tried to do that part, I guess. So I'm just saying that was part of the announcement. It was sort of matter of fact. It was sort of this, this is, to your point, we're not in danger. This is just an optimization. Oh, by the way, we're going to cut 4,000 heads. We hope you have a nice day. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, I as a leader, when those things happen, I also operate in a matter of fact kind of way, trying to keep it about the facts. One of the things that I learned early that I read in his post was how difficult it was, and that's a thing that I'm going to recommend anybody that's writing or talking to anybody when they're being fired or let go or whatever term you want to use. Never tell them how hard it was on you to make the choice.
Metacasters, write that down, tattoo it on your forehead. What he just said. Right. It is not about you. And Dorsey did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, it was a really hard decision. Wah, wah, wah. Feel sorry for me. You have your job, spoonhead.
Yeah.
Right. So don't say anything.
Yeah. So again, I will repeat it. If it ever comes to the point where you are removing somebody from your org, many people, including myself, the first time I did this, luckily, Cynthia Guzik, thank you for taking me under your wing and correcting me and teaching me. She said, Josh, never tell somebody how hard it is that you're firing them. Think about what it feels like on the other side of the table, being fired. That is hard. That is difficult. Yes, it was a hard decision for you to make, but it is in no way comparable to the situation that person is now put in. Forget the circumstances, whether they performed poorly, whatever it is. That's a situation nobody wants and is difficult in numerous ways. And unfortunately, many of us are living that now. So talking through how we lead through fear, and we've talked about leading in times of change and challenge and all of that. So we've talked about some of this, but this really feels different. So that's why Bob and I wanted to put it on the table and talk through. And I have thoughts and ideas of how I would manage it, but not everybody manages like me. So it's worth at least talking through.
I think I mean, we never talk about the leader, right? The leader, not only do they keep their jobs, but in a lot of cases, and I'd say even in this case too, it's poor leadership. It's ineffective leadership. It's lack of insightful leadership. But they get away with it. It's like, oh, we've decided to do this for the market, for stockholders. We've decided to do this because we overhired. I've heard that how many times during COVID, Josh? You've heard that, right? We overhired. Now we're doing a
Yeah.
correction. Well, who the hell decided to overhire? The freaking leadership team decided to overhire. No one made Dorsey. Dorsey hired 10,000 people. He could have optimized along the way. So I'm tired of CEOs and C-level folks and boards getting a get out of jail free fucking excuse card, right? I'm sorry, Medicasters, but getting out of a jail free card when it comes to this stuff. And then they talk about how hard it was and how they're recovering, and they throw the bone of the severance packages. Oh my God, it's a generous package. No, you shouldn't have done it to begin with. Right. What would Dorsey do? I'm just using him as an example. I mean, there's an infinite number of this stuff that goes on. But what if you laid off greater than 5% of your staff, you had to cut yourself? What if that was or some number, right? Or even anything? I'll give them a little grace, right? But you go greater than some small percentage, 2%, 5%. Not only can you cut the people? Fantastic, cut them, give them. You have to go, and three of your senior leadership team have to go, right? Because guess what? You look at cause and effect. It was your mistake. It was your decision making. Those 4K people decided to join a company under his watch,
Mm.
under his leadership, right? They trusted him again, and they put their lives on the line for him in many, right? Their families. And I think the leaders are laissez-faire, like French. The leaders are laissez-faire with it because they don't pay a penalty. They're not responsible. They're not accountable. I think we should hold them accountable to that stuff. And because they're not accountable, they don't look at other options, right? Like this could be part of their growth strategy, Josh, right? Like I could amplify. I have 10,000 people. What can I do to use AI to amplify those 10,000 people? If I hired 10,000 great people, right? If you're hiring right, you just got rid of 4,000 incredible people. Right? So,
Well, and
so
here's
go
another
for it.
angle. Yeah,
Don't
here's
use
another
and
angle
don't use the F
that
word. I already
we have achieved a new
an
level at
F
the
bomb.
Metacast. We are nearing 500 episodes,
I
and it
never.
finally happened.
I know.
It
I
finally
know.
dropped. So this is a monumental one. I got to figure out a way to memorialize episode 115 of our second incarnation of the Metacast. So here's a question: if you find a way for AI to accelerate the performance of your team. So you now can, we'll be conservative, say 5x or 10x, whatever. Say you can 5x the output of a member of your team. Why would you not leverage that to absolutely crush and dominate and say, oh my gosh, we can now do 5x with
Right.
everything we have. Let's
Exa-
accelerate. Let's do more. Let's hire more
exactly.
people as opposed
Exactly.
to firing people. That's the question that as I go around and talk to leaders, that the good leaders are saying, wait a minute. If we just found a way to accelerate our people that we believe in, let's do more of that. Let's hire more people. Let's find a way to get more of this because we're now able to separate ourselves from the rest of the market and the rest of the competition that's out there. It is the leaders that are struggling that use that as a cost reduction. And really, if you're winning, you would win more
Exa-
if something fell in your lap that empowered people to do more, do better, do faster. That's when you put the hammer down.
Well, that's if the board was, I don't know what, but I agree with you. It's it's not good leadership. It's common. When we brought this topic up, the person that instantly popped to my mind, and it's a good example and a not so good example, is Rich Sheridan at Menlo Innovations. And Rich is running a small shop, an agile shop, an XP shop, and he's written book Joy Inc. And he's really into his people. And Rich would never do what we're talking about. Rich would take accountability, right? During COVID, I mean, so they're hiring responsibly, they're growing responsibly, they're messaging and visioning responsibly. He really cares about it's the people. Now it's an independent company, right? It's not, it's not a public company. So, but
Mm-hmm.
still, he's making choices. He could wake up in the morning and act like this, like Dorsey, if he wanted to, right? He could overreact or underreact. It's good leadership. It's a choice, is what I get fired up about. It's a freaking choice. And they act like it's the right choice, and it's the wrong choice, I think, in many cases, unless you're really going down the tubes, unless there's really some dynamic. And that's not the case here, then I don't reward it. I
Yeah.
think it's a
Yeah.
lack. I think it's lazy leadership. Now I'll even go to the board. I'm sure his incentives. I'm sure he get a bonus resulted from this. I'm sure he got an attaboy associated with this from the board. So it's not just. I mean, everyone reports to someone, maybe except the president of the United States, but everyone reports to someone. So everyone is getting messaged, is feeding into someone, and I'm sure the board is appreciative of this effort, right, of this initiative. So shame on them as well, because they could just as easily incent him on innovation and dynamics the way Josh was talking about. In fact, I would say they should have, right, if that's what you want to do and grow as a company. And you want to honor people are not commodities. I'm tired of this shit. Oh, God, I'm getting feisty. I'm tired. I'm
Boy.
tired of this stuff where we commoditize human beings like they're artifacts. I hate to tell you, Dorse, but they're people, and you should handle them differently. They're not an artifact. They're not a desk. They're not a piece of software. They're not a security algorithm. They're people. And I think we have a responsibility. You as a leader, gosh, how many episodes have we talked about that, Josh? A leader, we have a responsibility to grow people, to give people feedback. If they're not working out, to have that conversation with them. You've talked about finding another place for them. He did none of that. Now again, this is just an example. I have a quick counter example. I read an article that
Okay.
IBM, it's not a leader, they laid off a bunch of people for AI optimization. I just read that they're hiring a bunch of people back because they realized they made a mistake. So kudos to them. They could have doubled down. Some leaders double down and hunker down, right? And have that sunk cost thinking. Well, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
admit, I can't admit that we made a mistake. They stepped in and they're hiring. They stopped their hiring plans. I think they laid off some people and stopped hiring plans for entry level engineers. And they're fundamentally changing that again. So you know, kudos for people. And I suspect Dorsey will probably find the same thing, that they overreacted. That 40%, which is significant, 4 out of every 10 people, that they lost some folks that they didn't want to lose, and they're probably going to react back. Go ahead. So I don't swear. So I don't
So
swear
I want to
again.
talk through.
You have to fill
What
in.
yeah, I think I can navigate us away from that. I want to talk about tactically speaking. And when I build an organization, it's interesting. I still end up doing a fair amount of work where I'm coaching members of my team. We're
Yep.
talking engineers, developers, where I am coaching them, letting them know that I don't view their value as only generated when their hands are on the keyboard
Yep.
typing away. That's not value generation. So the way I build an organization, AI is not a threat to my team because the value that I look for my team members to bring is not data entry. They're not data entry specialists. AI solves that. AI makes that fast, easy, quick, consistent, the same every time. But what I hire is I hire collaborative problem solvers, people that look at some big, nasty, disgusting problem that nobody's ever solved or people have run away from, and they hunker down and figure out how to make that happen. And then once we have a plan, once we know how we're going to do it, then we all go pound on the keyboard and make it happen. That's different. Now we go and we do a little less pounding, but AI generates it, but still the same, we have a problem to solve is there. And the way I'm seeing people use the AI is more of a sounding board and more of a discussion around, hey, I have this thing and I think I can solve it two or three
Right.
different ways. What do you think? Which one do you like? And is there another way that I'm not even thinking about that might be even better? Here's the parameters. Think about it and come back. So for an organization that I build, this is not a threat. So for those leaders that are out there listening and thinking, if you're not already there, it's time to start to move your organization to something that operates like that. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a position where you're going to make cuts because you've reduced the value that that human brings to strictly typing code in, and that's I it's a solved problem that we've been trying to solve for years. We've been trying to automate code and generate code and do all that stuff, and we're mostly there. But still, there's the complexity of solving problems in the real world with your applications, with your software.
Absolutely. Let me read something. Let me pull something up. There's a guy, and I'll give you a link to this article, Josh, so you can post it with
Mhm.
Marcus Daly, who used to be the CTO of S&P. So I connected with him because of Mary Thorne. He said the most powerful tool for the future of work, and he talks about the urgency of now, a call to action for the new economic engine. With the rise of powerful platforms like OpenClaw and OpenAI's Frontier, which are explicitly designed to be labor substitutes, we are at a critical juncture. If we continue to operate under the old OpEx-driven paradigm, we are choosing a future of conflict and displacement. We are choosing to let the Jevons paradox fail. But he's going on a little bit. He says, but focusing AI labor on innovation and capitalizing its contributions, we create the economic engine for a new area of prosperity. The reason I'm bringing it up is Dorsey had OpEx thinking. The board had OpEx thinking. Just to your point, and Marcus it's a choice. So I've been flaming a little bit on these leaders, and I will continue to flame on them, but they are entitled to their choice. Are you going to be an OpEx
Yeah.
leader, or are you going to be I'll call it an innovation-led leader, and that's a choice that you make. IBM was an OpEx-led choice and realized that it cut their throat to some degree, and so they're oscillating. They're trying to find their way. You and I are naturally innovation-driven leaders. We are naturally people-driven leaders. I would like to believe that that is the correct paradigm for the future. But that doesn't mean that people can't be. Dorsey's going to be. They're going to. Right. They're going to. Their stock's going to. I think their stock did rise as a basis of the announcement, so that you can. It's a choice that you can make. I just violently disagree with it, and I think really great people will not join that company. Right. So I think it'll affect their recruiting. It establishes. It emanates the mindset of the leader, the culture that we have. That's not just a 40% reduction. That speaks to what we value inside. What is our culture, etc. What culture is he setting? So,
Yeah, that's a key point that I wanted to talk through with this episode is there is an inevitable fear that is created both inside the company and outside the company. And just the number of people that I speak with, and Bob and I continue to see folks that we know that are really good at their job post on LinkedIn about how they are now part of the group trying to find a job. And so that just starts to build this fear where you're starting to look over your shoulder. And Bob and I have talked about some of the struggles I've had with my own company and looking over my shoulder, like how am I going to make this happen? Because that culture makes it hard to hire consultants and various things. So it's a pervasive thing, but I do believe as leaders we have the capability to, if you haven't already, reshape your organization and refocus on the real challenges, the real work. And if you aren't there now, start thinking about how your organization should be working 6 months from now, a year from now, and then you need to make that happen tomorrow. You need to start driving that change within your organization so that you don't end up in a spot so that if the board were to come to you or the CEO were to come to you and say, "Hey, we've got to make some cuts and we're thinking within your organization and who goes?" And you say no one. And here's why: because you can prove the value that they're creating, as opposed to, well, yeah, we could, yeah, it's hard. We could replace so and so with a bot or some LLM or whatever it is. But you've got to be thinking of that now.
I mean, I'm going to bring up something weird, and but I'm going to bring it up anyway. I'm going to call it spiritual leadership, and and I'm thinking of terms like principles, ethics, your legacy, what you remember when you're 80 years old. And I'm Metacaster's. This is just an old man getting up on a soapbox. Okay, so apologies for that. But I think about these things, and I would say Jack Dorsey and other leaders. I would encourage them to think not just about the moment, not just about the board, not just about the financials, but to take a step back and to say, I am leading human beings on the planet Earth, and it's not just monetary structure, it's innovation, it's contribution, it's caring. You're caring for, you have a care responsibility for those humans. There's a balancing act. And are you echoing what the universe, what is good in the universe by, are they commodities or are they people? And so it's a choice, but I think it's like a spiritually driven choice. It's a human choice. I think when you're 80 or 90 and you're thinking back, it'll be either I led my life well or I screwed people over and I made a mistake and I'm sorry about that. Because it is kind of that binary decision. It is that binary view. Is it, did you handle people with respect? And I'm not talking about severance respect, but did you handle people as people? Did you do the right thing? Menlo Innovations is an example of that. I would like to believe that in my context, I've led my leadership life to in a principled way. As an observer, I think Josh has tried to do his best to do that same thing. Uh,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah, I have a couple of things to talk through there. So I've adopted this view in life where I'm making decisions where my goal is to make two people proud. And one is the 8-year-old version of me, and the other is the 80-year-old version. And those are similar but different views. That 8-year-old wants to do cool stuff. That 80-year-old wants to be proud that he made a difference, that he raised his children well, that he was a good leader, that he helped people achieve their dreams, that he achieved the things that he wanted to do. So those are two lenses that I always look at whenever I'm evaluating a choice that I'm going to make. And And I talked to those two folks, and they helped me make the decisions both in the big moments and in the small moments, right? There's the small moments where I may have wanted to give up. And that 80-year-old guy said to me, "Hey, listen, this is when everybody else is going to give up. This is not time for you to give up. This is time for you to put the hammer down and make this happen. Because if you choose to opt out now, then it's not going to happen. And I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be sad that we didn't push through. We didn't do whatever we needed to do to make that thing happen. So go find a way to make it happen." The other story that drove this home about the lives you affect as a leader, that it is more than a paycheck, was I chose to leave a company, and a couple of weeks later, my family was at a sporting event for my kids, and they were doing their thing, and someone that I hired just before I left, his kids were on the opposing team or whatever, and he was cordial and nice, and he said hi, and we talked for a little bit, and then he walked away. Then his wife came over, and his wife cursed me out, and she was very angry with me because what she said that struck a chord was, "My husband came to work for you. He was excited. He was fired up. And then 2 weeks in, you left." And then she called me all kind
Yep.
of names. And that was the first time that I really felt that weight before. I was aware of it, but I never felt the weight of the choices that I make, even for my own benefit. Even those are choices. That was the right choice. But even with that, it affected hundreds of people's lives. Um, and seeing that from a spouse was a thing that further drove home the importance of us as leaders, and how it is more than a severance package, and it is more than a person doing a job, that it is a family life that you're enabling and you're supporting, and then you're causing problems when choices are made. So those are two things in my journey that certainly shape the way that I think about things.
How else to maybe to end this episode with? I'm just, I'm sort of, I've been upset, Metacasters, and you've seen it, or I've been emotional a little bit, maybe even more than I normally get. And I get angry. I get angry because of the choice. I get angry because they can choose better. Leadership is all about choices. And I've, Josh and I've done it. So it's make the better. Maybe the challenge for all of you listeners is we challenge you and encourage you and invite you to pause when you're in situations like this and think and make a better choice. It is possible to, right? Dorsey could have made a better choice. I'm not talking about the business. This could balloon their stock prices. So financially, you're going to see this. This could go through, and it's like he could get pats on the back, etc. But I'm talking about the human. There's different lenses to view this in. There's multiple lenses, not just the finance lens, not just the board lens or the market lens. Those are lenses, but there's the human cost lens. There's the did you build a sustainable organization lens? Did you do something that had long-term impact to the company? Those are equal lenses. There's a bunch of lenses, and leaders we have to navigate that. And I don't think I think, and some of them are easier. This was an easy choice for him. I know it was. This is just an easy choice. This is a bean counting choice. This is just a financial decision, and then we move on. I want to make your choices. You're at we're all in a position as leaders. Make those nuanced, multi-lens choices. And I love what Josh says. And then as part of that decision making, talk to your 80-year-old self. Remember, Josh, he didn't just say have it as a metaphor. He said he had conversations with those two people. I want you to have a conversation with that 80-year-old person. And the conversation is this, if I do this, is it the right thing? Am I going to be proud of it? Am I going to feel like I made a balanced, lens-driven choice? We're all in that situation as leaders, but don't be that lazy leader, or don't kowtow to people. Right? Oh, the board wants me to do this. Okay, but what's the right thing? What's your inner voice telling you? Josh, what do you got?
I, I don't know. I've been trying to find ways to put a cherry on top of that, but I'm not sure
It's your
I
inner
can.
voice. Everyone, your
So
inner
yeah.
voice, and do better than what you're seeing. We could do better, and humans matter. With that, from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina,
And from beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena,
I'm
North
Bob. I'm
Carolina.
Bob the Hitman, the F bomb. I'm
No.
Bob the F Bominator Galen.
And I'm Josh, the janitor cleaning up after Bob Anderson.
Take care,
And
y'all.
Nick.